All right. So as I said, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Um, my my expression of a disruptive character actually started while I was in secondary school. I attended Federal Government College, Janiki in Lagos. And on admission, while seeking admission into the university, I had gotten two international scholarships, one to study at the University of um, Toronto. Yeah, the University of Toronto, Canada, I think. And another to get scholarship with NIIT, right? And my disruptive nature made me seek to ask a question of what would I need to do to be different? Um, if I was going to study, yes, I wanted to study computer science and engineering. And I just felt like if I was going to study computer science and engineering, what are the things I would need to do that would give me a competitive edge in the university? So I went to a local repair shop to go learn how to repair phones and devices. And it was a part of discovery for me because I found out that I didn't really have the capacity for technical talent. All the hardware, software didn't come easy to me. But what I found easy was in the business aspect. How were we making sales? How are we engaging customers? How are we making sure that we're presenting the best experiences with our services, right? And that exposed me to my interest in business entrepreneurship and value creation. But however, when I observed that I wasn't able to get admission into Obafemi Awolowo on, on my first try, I had to do pre-degree, right? But that was when as I said, being a disruptive undergraduate starts with asking the right questions because the quality of your questions will determine the quality of your life and also the quality of the answers to your questions. So, as an undergraduate, I actually got in admission for computer science and engineering. But then the expectations I had for school, the questions I wanted to be answered, right, were not being answered in my first year. And as a disruptive person, I just switched. I switched to psychology after my first year, right? Because I saw how the world was changing. Um, I was exposed to how things were being done outside the school. And I thought, they were emanate from within the school. So it was a shock to me noticing that the things that were defining the world outside the school were not coming from inside the school. The school system seemed to be in a detached environment from what the real world looked like, right? And it just didn't sit well with me. So being a disruptive undergraduate stems from the boldness to actually ask the unasked questions, and taking on the will and the responsibility to find your own answers because in life there are no answers. They are only your own answers. So you need to find your own answers to your own questions, right? So as an undergraduate, my first year, I wasn't really attending to classes or anything. My second year in psychology, I became a leader. Yes, so that's another thing. Service. Okay, but before we go into how to be a disruptive undergraduate, I'm still talking about myself. So in my second year, I became the youngest leader in my church. I was heading the biggest division. By my third year, I was representing my school at international business competitions, about 4 international business competitions. Um, by my fourth year, I was mentor for a lot of communities on campus. I was mentor for the Hot Prize in Obafemi Awolowo University since inception. And even from my 300 level, I was already working as the executive assistant of Africa's most of one of Africa's most celebrated consultants. I was his EA and all of that. So, by my 400 level, And just, my first job out of school was to manage a whole startup. I was the business lead for Utiva, you know, and all of that. Now, how was I able to do these things, right? And I never had a CV. I've never used a CV to get a job in my life. I've never had a CV. I don't even have good grades. I don't even know what I graduated with till now, right? But I've been able to define my life based on some core principles that I understood early on, which you could relate with as being a disruptive undergraduate. Number one, you must understand that the value you want would come from the depth of your understanding of how much service you need to commit. Service to yourself, service to others, service to your industry, service to your interests, right? The second thing you need is the sense of responsibility, right? The sense of responsibility for yourself, the sense of responsibility for others, and the sense of responsibility for your areas of interest, right? Faith Adidolapo is raising, is that a mistake, or would you like to ask a question? Or you can just leave your questions in the comment section and I'll attend to them while I'm done, right? So what does it mean to be a disruptive undergraduate, right? As I said, it starts with you asking questions, you learning not to be complacent, you not being used to when systems don't work, right? You should always, at every point in time, know the things that you want. And when you don't know what you want, you know the things that you don't want. So as a disruptive undergraduate, you need to think of what are the questions that most excite me about life. You need to shift mentality from, how do I graduate to the first class? How do I put food on my table? These things are necessary, but they are not what will sustain you. Those things are just your natural impulse, your natural response to the realities of life, right? But the things that would create impact for you, the things that would define your impact in the world, are the things that will come through your service to the world, things that will come from the questions you ask, and then your responsibility to finding your own answers to these questions, right? So as a disruptive undergraduate within the Nigerian context, the economic, social, and political climate of Nigeria gives you a big opportunity to define your future. And how this means is it is riddled with problems, it is riddled with challenges. And with those great challenges and with those great challenges and problems comes great opportunities. And as undergraduates, we need to stop being, we need to stop thinking like undergraduates. We need to stop thinking like the world will wait for us until we graduate. It always looks like the world will just pause, right? And then when you graduate, you now resume life. No, no, no. The world keeps spinning when you're an undergraduate and when you're not an undergraduate. So you need to break that bridge in your mind that separates you as an undergraduate and as a and the real world. Whatever will happen in the real world, the undergraduate system just provides you that environment for you to try and try as much things as you want to. It's a place of discovery. It's a place where you commit to action, right? Beyond your books. Because the truth is, let me interest you in something. Do you know that your whole academic institution was actually birthed out of people who were in servitude to the community and people who were trying to solve problems and asking questions? For example, if you are a physicist, right? You're doing physics, you're doing chemistry. All of the chemistry you're learning in school is because someone saw something happening in the world and just tried to understand it. It was pure curiosity. Somebody wanted to understand how plane was able to fly, right? You wanted to understand how birds could fly, right? And from seeking to answer that question, he has birthed a whole industry, sorry, has birthed a whole academic infrastructure for thermodynamics, for gravity, and all of that. So we need to become more involved in society. We need to become more conscious and active in society. You need to be more aware of what is going on around you and stop acting like you are in a fishbowl or in a silo and every other thing that doesn't fit into what is inside your book or whatever you came to school to do is out of there. Now, I know the biggest challenge to what I'm saying is that our parents have told us different. They're the ones paying our school fees and they just tell you, go to school, face your book. But that's what being a disruptive undergraduate means, right? Creating a whole new perspective on the same issue, still being able to question, okay, what if I do this, right? And it goes this way. Let me take responsibility for how this will go. Because the thing that actually differentiates us as undergraduates from those outside the world, so those on the outside the undergraduate community doing so well, is it's our tolerance for risk. It's just that some people are just willing to take more risk than you as an undergraduate. That's what differentiates them, right? Then another thing you need to be conscious about is your level of exposure. You cannot produce beyond what you know. So stop boxing yourself in that, oh, because you're a student of medicine, you only read medical. No, 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 no. You're a student of medicine, read about politics, read about economics, read about chemistry. Now, it will look like, what would all these things relate? What would all these things do for me as a doctor? It will give you a rounded perspective on how to even do medicine better. For every undergraduate I always meet, I always recommend a book called Range by David Epstein. Range, Range, by David Epstein, Eipstein. You should read that book. It will drastically change your life. Because the world right now is no longer unidisciplinary. What that means is the world is no longer linear, where you just, graduate from secondary school, enter university, get married, get a car, get a job, get a car, and then happily ever after. No, 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 no. The world right now is being recreated from the ground up. You have to create your own path. Nothing is cast in stone. You have to get from your environment and build your own shape. Do you understand? So you need to be more exposed to the world. What's going on in other parts of the world? You need to think as a global citizen and not just a local citizen. These are the things that will make you a disruptive undergraduate, because these are the things defining the new value systems in the world. Trust me, all these certificates, wahala that we are carrying on our head, in the next 5 to 10 years, it wouldn't matter. You can hold me to it, right? Even Google right now is employing people without certificates. All those big companies that you dream of, they no longer ask for certificates. They ask for, where have you served? What have you been responsible with? And what level of curiosity do you have to solving problems? And your ability to work with others towards solving these problems. These are the things that actually matter in the world. So you need to look for, how can you serve people, seek mentors, how can you serve interest? Take responsibility for, okay, I can see this problem. Don't just say, Shabi, nah, so everybody do them now. They really hurt me yet, so I could just leave them. No, 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 no. Take responsibility. Once you see a problem that pricks your heart, that you're interested in, commit efforts and resources to doing those things. For example, now, how I met Ifeanyi was, I noticed that the undergraduate community had brilliant people who could build solutions, but they were not getting the right attention, or they were not getting the right resources. They were not getting investments and all of that. So I decided to build an infrastructure to make sure that investors can invest in students. As simple as that. So I designed the 7-phase infrastructure, right, and got people involved, right? I shared my story. Number 2, I reached out to people. So that's it. As I said, stop thinking in a silo. Learn to work with others. Look for other people's perspectives. And I got leaders from undergraduate communities, like about 500 of them, and we started interacting over this project, right? Then I created literature, published a book about it. Then I got we also now got involved in policy. That's another area where undergraduates can become more disruptive. You need to participate in policy, right? And not just the politics, right? We need to drop politics for a while and focus on policy, because the current systems that are already creating these outcomes would continue to create these outcomes if we do not create a change in the processes creating these outcomes. And policies are where all of these things happen. So instead of looking for the next person you can go and sell your vote to and all of that, try to understand policy and how you can get more involved, right? There's a lot of work being done by myself and my team around this. right? Another thing you need to be aware of, right, is that problems are where your opportunities will come from. Now, every undergraduate has three things on their mind. Is either you want to further your education and become a lecturer, or you want to further, or you want to become an entrepreneur, or you want to become a career professional, right? These same things apply, right? You need to get involved. Instead of waiting till you graduate, reach out to someone on LinkedIn, get yourself out there, build your personal brand and get yourself out there so that you can ask people questions. As I said, it all starts with, that's in fact, if I want to define the disruptive on undergraduate, it comes with what? They like to ask questions. They never feel they never feel down about asking questions, right? There's no right or wrong questions. There are only questions that you can take responsibility for finding answers to. Do you understand? So asking questions, go on LinkedIn, look for mentors. Oh, hello, sir. I'm a 300 level student of chemical engineering, and I would like to learn about the new trends in chemical engineering. Do your own research, right? Get involved. I'm saying get involved. The world will not wait for you to graduate. The world is spinning, and by the time you graduate, it have even totally changed. So you need to get involved and be a part of the change, right? Um, your undergraduate community gives you the biggest opportunity to test your capacity to grow, to learn, to serve, right? Look at you know, one thing I was advocating for through the Venture Matrix for the Future of Africa project is that you have local communities around you. All the things you are learning in class, we know that nobody will employ you right now because you've not graduated, but you can go into your communities and effect some change. You're a finance and accounting student. You can go into the community and look for one Mama Chinedu and say, "Oh, Mama Chinedu, you know that if you can balance your books, these are the cost and the cost. These are the effects. You know, learn by trying, right? Whatever you're learning in class, don't just stay in class and be reading book for exams. No, 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 no. Trust me, you have a better chance failing exams and being better at practicalizing it in person than just passing exams and getting a first class. So whatever you learn in class, ask yourself, how do I apply this to make someone else just outside the school gate better? Or another student, you're a student of medicine, yet your roommate is sick and you cannot recommend any solution, right? The things that will define you will not come from the future. They will start from now. That's what makes you a disruptive undergraduate. So get involved, participate, get more exposure, ask questions. Those things would make sure that you are able to create new value. You know, that's all about being disruptive undergraduate, asking the right questions and being responsible to creating new value systems out of the questions that are not that are currently being that are currently unsolved, right? I like this to be a conversation, so I'll stop right there. If there's anything that is not clear to anyone, or anyone wants to learn about anything, I'll just take questions and then we'll go on from there.
Right, right, Batel. Please, you said something. I'm so sorry that my network is fluctuating. You said something about focusing on policies and not politics.
Yes.
So I would like you to throw more light on that aspect.
All right, beautiful.
Are you trying to say we should shy away from politics? Just be more specific. Thank you.
All right, beautiful. So now policy is an instrument of governance. For example, you are in student union, yes, you're the secretary of the student union, right? The politics of it is about the self-interest that has gotten you there, right? Your access to public resources, your responsibility to the undergraduate community, you know, all of the things in your manifesto and all of that, all of that, all of that. Mm-mm. But then there is policy. Policy is what are the structures and processes you're going to put in place to ensure that the defined outcomes of your politics are going to actually be met. For example, now we have instruments of governance. You have partnerships, you have policies, you have projects, programs, platforms, right? Focusing on these three means that you need to be able to create frameworks towards the outcomes. Okay, let me make it simpler. So you have a commissioner of something come to you and tell you, Okay, it's doing a manifesto that we're going to open boreholes in all of the villages around your campus. Do you understand? That is the politics of it because he knows that that's what you want. But the policy part of it is okay, how are we going to do it? What is the process to getting that done? Who will do it? What's the cost? Right? When students can get involved in that, can tell you, guy, this thing you're saying is it doesn't make sense, right? Who is going to fund it? How is it going to be sustainable? Right? So policy is in that engagement and formation of the processes that will get the outcome, right? The politics of godfatherism, of party politics, and all of that is not serving anybody. We need to be more collectively minded than the things that serve our personal interest. So that's what I meant by policy and not politics. Because even the fact that you're asking about what policy is shows that we have been tackling the wrong things. Policy is more than is an instrument beyond your office. Policy is the instrument, a lay down of processes on how to get towards an outcome, a lay down of structures that make sure that your intentions are met. It is through those structures and processes that will now be able to hold you accountable and hold you responsible and know if you're transparent with the resources that you have been given and then the promises that you've been making. So that's what.
All right now. All right. Thank you very much. All right. You mentioned something about being collective. So I want you to like emphasize more on that because, like I said, I believe in our undergraduate community now. We have people with different talents, potential. We have smart people. In UNEC, we have a lot of smart people. But then I feel that they tend to work on their own. So why me? I really feel that working together, I believe in teamwork. When you work as a group, the result, the outcome is more productive. So like
Mhm.
I want you to just share more light
Okay, so
on that.
first
Thank
thing,
you.
first things first is you must understand that there are different types of students. But for you to get people together, you need basically one thing. You need a lot of things, but one thing would connect any group of people, which is what a vision. Once you have a vision that appeals to the interest of the diverse types of students that you have, is a good place to start. For example, in the venture matrix, now we propose something. We know that there are two types of students. They are the innovation class and they are the economy class. The innovation class are the students like myself who wanted to create, who wanted to solve problems, who wanted to try new things. People like the people on this call who will see a Zoom call and join. The other people who just want to enjoy the dividends and the benefits of all of these things without doing the work. We call them the economy class. But there's one thing that applies to both of them, right? We all want a better life. We all want better outcomes for ourselves. So once you can focus on the people who have the resources, capacity, and talents to create those better outcomes and make sure they can serve the interests of those people, that is that is a better way to that is a better way to go about it, right? So once you know the class of people, you actually don't need everyone to create change. You just need the right set of people devoted to a cause, right? So, for example, now on this call, there are about one, two, three, four, there are about four people, right? So, what you do is with whatever you've learned here, right, and you want to infuse it into your project, right? You design your solution, but then get these other people involved. They don't need to work on it. You just need to know what are their needs, what are the things that matter to them, then ingrain it into what you're doing as a project. That way they will succumb. For example, now I was advocating that we have students in finance who are learning about accounting, capital markets, and investments. What if every school had an investment platform run by students where students can easily just throw in some funds, and then these students will help them manage it and give them a profit over a designated period of time. Now, the students don't have to be part of the investment. They just need to drop money. But why would they drop money when they know that what they will get interest over a couple of period? So you need to understand these nuances, these differences in people and their needs, and then designing projects around that, but then sharing a compelling vision. Like now, for example, as I shared that story now, I know a lot of you are already thinking, wow, that would be really nice, right? If there was a place where every month, let's say you can just drop 5,000 naira, they'll help you invest it in land, in forex, and it's backed up by school, backed up by banks, so you know it's secured, right? Of course, you want to do that. So anytime the people that are handling your money, if they call you, say, oh yeah, come for this symposium or anything, won't you show up? You show up. So you need to first lend out a hand. What do people actually really need? What matters to them the most? You cannot assume that everybody wants the same thing. There are some people that, once it doesn't fit their stomach infrastructure, they don't really care. In fact, the only reason why they are going to school is because they think it's a better way to get access to jobs and better money. So once you can solve that need for them, they will be ready to listen to you. So you need to just understand that there are different types of people, and there are different needs, but all that brings them together is a compelling vision.
All right, thank you very much. Please, I wouldn't want you to just focus on we here because we'll also be sharing out the links.
Oh yes, yes, yes. It applies to
Yeah,
anyone listening to this.
yeah. So one of the challenge I feel most students are scared of is in terms of academics. They wouldn't want anything that will make them perform badly in terms of grade. So how yeah, at least you were destructive during your own time and you knew people that were very destructive. How can you like advise them or in terms of balancing and then not to really say because of the fear of failure they will not engage in other things. So just throw more light on balancing.
Okay, so the thing about that is, how do we say this now? I'm looking for how to best answer this. Okay, so first things first is that how do I say this? How do I say this? The question is, how do you get people who are focused on academics to try out other things?
No, like I meant what can you say to them so that they can know that they can also excel in academics and excel exploring other opportunities.
Okay, so the first things first, right, is that there needs to be a different type of awareness. And by that, I mean, you need to understand the change going on around the world, right? We would always act according to how much we know, right? So there needs to be a different form of narrative, right? But more importantly, you need to understand people's position. You need to understand, why do they care so much about the academics? Why are they scared of failing? Why do they feel like that is the only way to the kind of outcomes that they need, that they want? Secondly, is that you need to now create a bridge between them and then the external reality. For example, you need to have more forums like this, but because most of them are not yet digitally adopted. When maybe when there is see, I don't let me make this simpler for you. It starts with conversations. That's as much as I can say. There's some belief systems that you have now that you don't have anymore because somebody introduced a different angle to it. So it is your job it's your responsibility as a leader to not give up in continuing to have these kind of conversations, right? Invite as much people as you can, even if they don't show up. The ones that show up, get them, influence them to be a part of the movement, and then they start telling their friends about it. But then before that, you need to understand their own position, understand their fears, and then recommend your own perspective as a solution to those fears, right? Because most of them are being influenced by their parents. Most people are in school just because and doing the courses because of their parents. Others are doing it because they feel like that's how they will get, some kind of security in the world, right? But you need to have more conversations with them. So call a town hall meeting. Just ask them, oh guys, I think this is what we need to do, but let me hear your point. because that's another problem with we creators, right? We just think that, oh, because what we have are good intentions, and that's, it's for the betterment of other people, it means that they should just, accept it hook, line, and sinker. No, no, no. At different points in time, different things matter to different people at different points in time. So it starts with that. Then it starts with bring them, for example, if they're more academically focused, bring more people who represent the kind of life that they want, telling them a different narrative. That's how it works. But there's nothing else you can take the horse to the river bank. You can't force it to drink water. All you can do is just continue to force this kind of interactions. It normally happens like this. Even Jesus Christ, when he came, not everybody listened to him. It's normal. It's normal.
Okay.
It's a build up. But what Jesus did differently was what? He was amongst them. He was creating conversations among them. It starts with conversation. So be where they are, know where they are, make sure that you are their friend, make sure that they can see the sincerity of your intentions. And then you just keep doing your own doings until it starts to pan out as planned.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Before you conclude, I would love that you be more practical, like mentioning names of people that you know that were destructive, just to encourage, just use them as instance to encourage our university community.
Well, the thing now is that I think it's very contextual because if I say Bill Gates, it doesn't touch you in the heart because Bill Gates didn't go to UNN. So I don't really know people from UNN. Uh,
Not really UNN.
but if it's generally, of course, they're the Steve Jobs.
Yes.
In fact, everybody that you are aware of. Okay, let me not say it like that because that is too absolute. Um, most of the leaders leading the world today, the Jeff Bezos of the world, the Mark Zuckerberg, most of them were disruptive. Maybe not as undergraduates, but they were disruptive, which is that they decided to ask questions at one point in time that defied what seemed as normal, what pertained as normal, right? So I think that's as best as I could respond to that. Like the Googles of this world were created by disruptive people who just seek to ask a different question, seek a different narrative.
All right. Thank you so much, Batel. Thank you for everything. Like I said, you've been an inspiration with what you are doing at the venture metrics. It's really wonderful. It's really
Thank you so
wonder.
much.
How do you cope, please? How do you cope?
I really don't know, but you know, I just, as I said, is a feeling of responsibility. I feel like I'm responsible for that, and I work around my way to making it happen.
Um, so please, in just one final word for us.
So, in one final word is this, right? We need to be more open to change as undergraduates. That's one thing that will separate us between today and between who we are today and who we will become tomorrow. We need to be open to change. You need to be open and willing to take risk. The world outside is a different narrative. In case you don't know, right? The unemployment statistics for the undergraduate community is very high. It's double digits. I think it's around 27%, 21 or 27%. Your economic situation in Nigeria is not is not the best, right? All of the systems that you are banking on, they don't seem to be working, except you want to jackpot. But then everything still, holds as is, right? You need to redefine your options. And it all starts with what? Recognizing the problems in your society and looking to create value systems out of them. Expand your learning, increase your exposure. And I hope with these few points of mine, I'm able to help you navigate through this crazy world. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much. I would like to recap some major things you said. I love the fact that you said that we should get involved, we should take up responsibilities, and then we should ask questions. I feel by asking questions, we tend to know more. We should, in as much as we are seeking out opportunities, that does not really entails that we will not do well in our academics, because like I
Yeah.
said, that is the fear of most people in our community. So I believe by getting involved and by working as a group, we, everything will work out well. The outcome will really be positive. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Batela. I'm so grateful for everything. Thank you for your time. Thank you to people all currently online. So thank you so much, Gabriel, and to my team. Thank you for helping me to put up this wonderful session. I believe that with time, we'll get better, and with time, we'll tackle different issues facing our community. Like I said, there are a lot of issues facing us, but then with this initiative, I
I have
pray
a
it gets
question for Batel.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that. You can ask a question.
okay. All right, maybe let's just go ahead with this question.
Okay.
All right, my name is Gabriel. It's really an interesting conversation. So, but when we started, we talked about the opportunities you had while you were in school. You mentioned something around representing your country at international business competition. So I want to ask, what background gave you the qualification or the belief that you could attempt those things?
Honestly, at the time, I didn't think I could attempt them. I just attempted them. But I know that one thing I'd focused on was self-development. We would become the books we read, the places we go, and the people we move with. I had a group of friends who shared the same enthusiasm for such disruptive interests. In fact, the first competition I went for, my friend had just come back from a business competition in Poland. So he had opportunity, he was exposed to that, and he just, oh, Toyin, there's a business competition, I think would would introduce you. And I was willing to put in the work. The things I didn't know, I bent my back to learn them. I was willing to go all the way. And I wasn't one other thing was I wasn't scared to be wrong. So in fact, I was shocked when I started seeing my results. For example, the Venture Making for the Future of Africa project, I used it as my application to the World Bank Youth Summit in Washington D.C. And I was part of the 200 people that were selected globally out of like 12,000 or 14,000 submissions or something. Right? It was just a rough idea in my head, but I also think maybe my personal inclinations, my natural talents, my awareness of myself also helped with that. But those things, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid to be wrong. I was ready to put in the work and learn the things that would give me advantage, and all of those things. Yeah. So I was exposing myself to business books, reading stuff, having conversations. So another thing I know helped me was I didn't used to have a lot of friends within my age group or school group, or level. Most of my friends, when I was in 100 level, my friends were like 300, 400, 500 level. So the level of conversations I was having with them at the time, I had people I could look up to that modeled the life I wanted. Students who were creating massive stuff. I had people that, you know, at the time, their own ambition was to just say, oh, if I was a normal thing during my time to say, oh, I'll make my first million before I'm in 400 level. I was around that kind of community. So my thinking was different. So those are the things. So the people I moved with, the books I read, the places I went to. Yes, I used to sacrifice a lot to attend events. Yeah, that's another thing I did. I would leave school, go to events, meet people there, connect, network. So I just used to take risks. As I said, that's what differentiates disruptive undergraduates from normal undergraduates. They take risks. So yeah, that's that. Any other
All right.
question?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The question I want to ask is not really a question. For me, I'm a unique student. I'm studying medicine and surgery, but I've had earlier, I have exposures to schools like OAU, particularly. I have my brother has finished from there,
Okay.
so I'm familiar with the environment. And for me, I could see a big difference between unique campus and OAU, even the government. So I don't know what, like, I was, I shared some things with Jensek, who is here, about the absence of things like, you don't even have student clubs. You don't have things like first aid club. You don't have a drug-free club. You don't have editorial clubs. Just kind of very dormant environment. The only thing people focus on is just their academics. So, what do you think the student union can do to help? Because I know they can really help.
Okay, awesome. So first things first is there's something called the Moses syndrome. Everything that we are enjoying today, somebody had to suffer for it. Somebody had to take responsibility for it. So until we have leaders who are ready to take responsibility for stuff, things will remain the same. So if it bothers, as I said, if it bothers you that much, you also start a club. Um, but it starts from one thing. It starts from capacity development. So as a student union body, you need to start designing projects that inspire people to start clubs. Because one thing that actually differentiates OAU from every other university is that we have more communities than any other person, any other university. Very active communities. Everything you want to learn, anything you want to do with your life, when you come to OAU, you find a group of people who are doing it. If it's cryptocurrency, we have cryptocurrency clubs. We even have people who are doing as far as robotics. Students who are doing
Yeah,
robotics, like they are not teaching them in class, so they are by, as I said, they are by themselves coming together. They will spend their own money, sacrifice. Remember, they would spend their own time. While some of them who miss classes. I remember one of my friends. Right now he works as senior management in a very big company. He also was a third class graduate. Doesn't even have CV, doesn't have anything. But what he was doing was that he was the head of the IEEE club in OAU at the time. He was responsible for making sure students were prepared. He would take them to competitions. They will spend money, hard end money. They will work, all just so that they can spend it on testing their ideas. But it's paying off for them now. So you leaders, as I said, you need to become active. You need to take it seriously. You need to see it as a do or die affair. You need to see it as your own contribution to making UNEC better. As a government, right? I gave you 3 tools. Number one, what programs can you design? Even if your president is not interested, your other people are not interested. It's only you and Ifeanyi. You need to now develop your capacity. You read books, talk to other people in OAU. Oh, guy, how far? You guys have a business club in OAU. Can you guys teach us how to do it? Or can you teach us how to open a unique chapter? That's what I'm saying. You cannot work in a silo. Reach out to people, talk to people. There's nothing stopping you from reaching out to a company in UNEC is in Enugu now, right?
Yes, Enugu, yeah.
And saying, oh, guy, we love what you're doing. We would like to help you get it to more students. Let us open a club to teach students how to, things like ISEC. That's how ISEC and the rest, So reach out to people, to things that are already working. Try and create it in your school. Improve the quality of undergraduates in your school to be able to create their own clubs, create structures, and all of that. So until someone takes responsibility for that, nothing will happen.
All right. So this current administration, we are really working towards that. At least the last administration did wonderfully well, and we'll take up most of the things they started, and then we are going to also start different things. This part of the system. We are creating structure. That's why we started this sensitization program to sensitize the youth. So upon resumption, we can start doing some little things, and with time, I believe that we'll get better. Okay,
Yeah.
like I said, Batel, And this will not be the last time we'll be speaking to you. This initiative is in a series. For each series, we will bring up a particular matter and issue, and then we'll tackle it. We also reach out to other speakers to help us tackle different topics, depending on the particular field or depending on the particular topic. So we just reach out to resource persons that we know that will be able to tackle it. So if I'll be going back home with something. I'm actually at home. If I believe you say something now, if that is what you said. The undergraduate community is the biggest place we can test our capacity. So as students, as undergraduates, we only have this opportunity to only come once while you are on campus. That is the only opportunity you can test your capacity to know yourself. So
In
I
fact,
just
okay, sorry,
don't
I
know.
need to mention. In fact, it's one of the goals for the Venture Matrix Leaders program. I told you next year I plan to do a tour around universities just to connect people together, right? It's one of the objectives. We need more intervarsity interfacing beyond Nuga sports, beyond, we need to focus on more economic and social growth and development outcomes together, right? Students of UNN should be able to come to OAU, learn something, do like exchange programs. It's not until you go international that you call it an exchange program. You can just say, okay, and that, in fact, that was one of Samsung's strategy. The way Samsung is so big, what Samsung used to do is that they will send two of their executives to a new place, right? That let them just spend 2 weeks there, or 2 months, or 3 months. Let them just learn everything they can learn. Then come back, give them, they will not design a product, design a solution, and go and launch. That's why they used to, they were really good with what they were, the kind of enterprise that they built as Samsung. So make it make it part of your goals, right? As a government, right? Um, Look for more partnerships, design more programs, focus on more policy. If you don't know about policy, read about it, take courses, then do more exchange programs. Go to universities that replicate the kind of things you want to see. Don't just stay in your house and be using Google and now be saying, oh, I am okay. I can see this in OAU. Maybe it's just to have a club. No, 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 no. Talk to people, make a friend, say, oh, hi, people at ISEC, would you be willing to host us for 2 weeks? We'll learn how you develop ISEC. Or please, ISEC, can you introduce us to heads of these clubs, so and so clubs? Let's get in the conversation. And then, host, so you need to interact. Stop thinking of just UNEC. The things that will build UNEC are not just the outside UNEC. Is as basic as that. Because if everything to build UNEC was in UNEC, then why is UNEC not what you want it to be? So you need to get exposure. That's what I'm saying. Exposure. Expose yourself. If you need to go to another city, if you need to go to another city, not university, go to Lagos. Save money. Go to Lagos. Spend money and stay in a hotel. Let it inspire you or something. That kind of stuff. So just get exposure. Feed your eyes. Feed your mind, and you'll be fine.
Right. Thank you so much. I feel time is really against us. So thank you very much once again.
Yeah.
Thank you for to our participants. Grateful for I'm so grateful to you for joining us. So join us next time, next week. Hopefully, we'll be tackling another different issue, and I believe with time we'll get better and stronger. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for inviting me. Do have a great day.
All right, now, thank you, Watel.